Dear students, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to our plant systematics class with the topic of families. Okay, so let's dig in and we start a PAC. And in this particular video, we are going to take a look at the distinguishing or diagnostic characters of the family. So a PAC, and as I have already told you, commonly it is known as carrot family. Umbelliferi was its previous name, and it is still referred to that name in the literature. So, distinguishing characters are diagnostic characters. So, these two terms are mostly used interchangeably. What does it mean? What do we mean by diagnostic characters or distinguishing characters? Now, a family has a whole lot of characters, a bunch of characters, a huge detail of characters, which are usually known as general characters, in which we describe each and every character from habit and onwards. But distinguishing characters are few specialized characters of a particular family, and as the name indicates, diagnostic or distinguishing, which differentiate or distinguishes that particular family from other families or related families. So let's see what are these diagnostic characters for a PAC. So herbs and rarely shrubs. So this is one of the key feature of Apiaceae or the carrot family Umbelliferi, that these plants are mostly herbs. Okay, so what is herb? This is our first term that we have encountered today. Next is shrub. So these two terms are related to habit of the plant. Now this habit is a botanical term or a taxonomic term and not the English word habit that we use in our daily life. So the habit word usually refers to the form of the body, the overall form of a plant body or of a plant. So these are three basic habit types found in plant. The classification which was used by the famous Greek philosopher, the father of the party, Theophrastus. So on the basis of habit, we classify plants into three groups. So we have herbs, and next is the shrubs, and next is the tree. So these are the three basic habit types found in plants. So herbs, they are usually small, mostly they are green plants. So they are classified as herbs. Now this is not a technical term, but a very useful in identifying plants or describing plants. So as an example, most of the small plants that we encounter during the spring, say brassica or mustard plant. Now this is a herb, although it can grow to a quite a bit of height. The other common plant, the roots of which are eaten raw, the radish. So this is also a herb. So these are small green plants, and their stem is mostly green, soft and green. So the stem is soft and green. So these are herbs. The plants of this family, as this first distinguishing character says, that they are herbs, but rarely you will find shrubs in this particular family. So the shrub is the next category in the habit of plants, and shrubs are plants which are, although they are smaller than trees, there are shrubs which can grow to quite a bit of height, but mostly they are smaller than trees, and they have a woody stem. Their stem is not soft and green like herbs. Their stem is mostly woody. And one thing special about shrubs, although this is not a very technical description, but most of the shrubs that are classified as shrubs, they don't have a main trunk in their body, main stem. They don't have a main trunk. So what happens that their branching of the stem starts right from the ground level. So you will find many shrubs, they have many stems arising from the ground level, and most of these stems have the same girth. Their thickness of these branches, which arise almost from the ground level, and they have the same thickness. They have the same girth or thickness. So this is a very handy feature when finding shrubs. And one thing you should note or you should remember that this classification of plants into herbs, shrubs, and trees is not very clear cut. There are herbs, you will find herbs which are shrub like, and there are shrubs which are tree like, and there are trees which are shrub like, and so forth. So you will find all sorts of intergradation between these three, herbs and shrubs and trees. So it is not very clear cut that the plants herbs are only herbs and they have soft and green and small, and then we have shrubs and then we have trees. So hopefully you would have understood this particular or grasped this particular concept that what are herbs and shrubs. So plants of this family are herbs, and rarely shrubs are found in Apiaceae. Their stem is fistular. Fistular is term used for a hollow nature of the stem. The stem which is hollow from inside. Usually, if you take a cross section of a stem, so you'll find epidermis and then various tissues inside. But fistular are those stems which are hollow. So apart from this outer layer, you won't find any material tissues in the center of the stem. So this part of the stem is empty. It doesn't contain any tissues. So such a stem are known as fistular, as in grasses. The stem of the grasses are mostly fistular. You are most probably familiar with the leaves, the flat expanded part of the plant which usually carries out photosynthesis for the plant. Now this is the general arrangement of the leaf. Leaves alternate. So this is stem and these are nodes. Hopefully you are familiar with the term node in the stem and so forth. So node is a point on the stem from where leaves arise. So this is leaf arising from this node, and this is another leaf which is arising from this particular node. Now alternate is a condition when we have single leaf arising from each node. So at each node there is a single leaf. So this condition, this would be regarded as alternate or spiral arrangement. So leaves are alternate, single leaf from every node, each node. So this is alternate. And then the next term, which is compound leaf. The leaves are compound when the lamina of the leaf is one piece. This is a leaf, a basic diagram of leaf. So this is a simple leaf in which lamina is one piece. But if the lamina of the leaf is divided into leaf-like parts like this, so this is not a simple leaf, this is a compound leaf. So this particular leaf is a compound leaf in which the lamina, now it might have been a leaf, but now its lamina is divided into leaf-like parts, and these are known as leaflets. We are not going to discuss the compound leaf here, but just to introduce you to this concept of compound leaf. So it might have been a leaf, but now it is not a leaf. Its lamina has been divided into leaf-like parts, which are known as leaflets. So this is a compound leaf. Different compound leaf has different kinds: pinnate compound leaf and palmate compound leaf. So their leaves are alternate and they are mostly compound. That is, their lamina is divided into leaf-like parts. The next term is related to the base of the leaf, which is known as emplexical. Now this is a stem, and usually this term is related to sessile leaves. Leaf usually has a petiole like this one. Now this is attached to the stem at node, for example. So this is a leaf, and this is also a leaf. This is node, and now as you can see, this particular leaf is, its base is directly attached to the stem instead of petiole. So this is without petiole. So this is a sessile leaf, and this is a petiolate leaf, as there is a petiole. So this particular term, the emplexical, is related to sessile leaves, which do not have a petiole, do not have a stalk. So in emplexical leaf, the base of the leaf, it is just like as if it is holding the stem. So its base has, the emplexical leaf is one in which the base of the leaf, it seems as if it is clasping the stem, as if it is holding the stem. So let's see how it is. So this is a stem, and say this is a leaf, and we are going to draw it. So its base is cut into two flaps. So as you can see, this is one flap and this is the other one. So this is the leaf, and as you can see, these two ears are parts of the base of the leaf. They seem to clasping. Now this is the stem which is going through it. So this is stem or the branch, and as you can see, it seems as if it is holding the stem or it is clasping the stem. So this is emplexical leaf. We are going to see a diagram of it soon. So leaves are alternate, one leaf at each node. The leaves are compound, their base is emplexical, and rarely you will find simple leaves, that is the leaf which is not compound. Inflorescence is umbel. Umbel inflorescence is the one in which the flowers seem to arise from one point. So this is umbel. So these are few flowers arising from the floral axis has become extremely reduced, extremely short. The internodes are very short, so it seems that the flowers are arising from one point. So this is umbel. So umbel is simple umbel like this one, and then we have a compound umbel in which the floral axis gets branched, and then each branch bears flowers in umbel fashion. So this is compound umbel. So this becomes a compound umbel. So this is umbel in which flowers seem to arise from one point from the floral axis. So the inflorescence is umbel, which is a characteristic feature of this family, and because of this family was known as umbelliferae. Now these are few terms related to flower. Epigynous, irregular, bisexual, and pentamerous. Epigynous, if you remember, this refers to the insertion of the flowers on the floral axis. So this is thalamus, this is say pedicel, and this is thalamus. The floral parts, they arise in this particular fashion. So these are sepals, and then we have petals, and in the center is the gynoecium, and we have stamens. Now this is a normal shape of a flower, but in epigynous what happens that this particular thalamus, the margins of the thalamus, they grow upward and they form a cup-like structure like this. So this is the thalamus, and ovary is located here at the base of this cup, and its style and stigma, they come out of here, and the rest of the floral parts, sepals, petals, and the stamens, they are born at this particular fused margin. So they are born here. So these are sepals, and then we have petals, and then we have stamens. So all these parts seem to arise from the top of the ovary or from this top of the thalamus. So this is an epigynous condition in which the ovary becomes inferior and the rest of the floral parts, they are superior. So this is epigynous condition. Epi above, gynoecium, ovary or carpel. So this is the basic diagram of the insertion. This is hypogynous condition, and this is hypogynous condition, and this is epigynous condition. So the flowers are epigynous. They are mostly actinomorphic, rarely irregular. That is, they are not actinomorphic. Actinomorphic is a flower which can be cut into two equal parts from any plane. Now, if flower has a radial symmetry like this, as you can see, we can cut it into two equal parts, just like a ball or like an orange or apple. You can cut it into two equal parts from various planes. That is actinomorphic. So mostly its flowers are actinomorphic, but rarely they may be irregular. They may be zygomorphic or irregular. Bisexual, a very simple, self-explanatory term. The flower bears both the reproductive parts, stamens as well as carpels. So bisexual, hermaphrodite. And the next is pentamerous. Now this penta and parts. So the floral parts are 5 or multiple of 5, pentamerous. Just like monomer and polymer, so pentamer, pentamerous. So we have 5, suppose 5 sepals, 5 petals, and 5 stamens, or 10, multiple of 5. So they may be 5, 5, 5, or they may be 5, 10, 15, something like that. So whatever the case might be, they are 5 or multiple of 5, pentamerous, except the carpels, which usually in most flowers do not follow this rule. So carpels are 2, and this is a term which is related to the union of the carpels, that the two carpels are united. So it is a compound ovary consisting of 2 carpels. So carpels, which is visible, it is not one. There are actually 2 carpels because both the carpels are united. So carpels 2, syncarpus, we can say it's a bicarpellary and syncarpus ovary, or the carpel or the gynoecium is bicarpellary, syncarpus. And there is a disc present known as honey disc, which is usually present at the base of the ovary, base of the carpel, and the fruit is a cremocarp. This is a schizocarpic fruit. If you remember, we have discussed it in the chapter of the fruits in your second semester, the various kinds of fruits. So fruits were schizocarpic. Schizocarpic fruits are those in which fruit breaks up into one-seeded compartments. So one of them was cremocarp. This is a characteristic fruit of Apiaceae or Umbelliferae. So this particular fruit consists of 2 parts, mericarps, and the fruit is known as cremocarp. And both of these one-seeded parts, they are indehiscent. They do not open up to release their seeds. So cremocarp is a schizocarpic fruit like the fruit of acacia. So this is fruit of the acacia, and it usually breaks up into one seeded compartment. Each compartment contains one seed. So this is a schizocarpic fruit. Similarly, this particular, like the fruit of the fennel or coriander, so it breaks up into two parts. So each part is a mericarp. So this is a cremocarp, which belongs to the schizocarpic fruit category of the uh, simple and dry fruits. So these were the distinguishing characters of family Apiaceae, that they are herbs. Rarely they are shrubs. Their stem is mostly fistular, hollow from inside. The leaves are alternate and they are mostly compound. Their base is amplexical. Rarely you will find simple leaves in them. The inflorescence is umbel. The flower is epigynous, and mostly it is actinomorphic, but it can be irregular. The flower is usually bisexual and pentamerous, multiple of five. Various floral parts are five or multiple of five. It's bicarpillary syncarpous, two carpels which are united. There is a honey disc present, and we have fruit which is schizocarpic, cremocarp, and consists of two parts which are known as mericarps, as in coriander and funnel and so forth. Now, these are the distinguishing characters as given by Michael G. Simpson in his book Plant Systematics. So it says that Apiaceae are distinctive in being herbs. Their leaves are sheathing, compound or simple, and often it is known as decompound. Decompound is actually a compound leaf in which the leaflets are themselves compound. So that is known as decompound. Like we have, this is a leaflet, and a decompound will be a leaflet which is further divided into leaflets. So this particular leaflet is again divided into leaflets. So compound leaf which is itself compound, like bipinnate and so forth, or we have trifoliate, and then we have a biternate leaf. So that is a decompound leaf. Compound leaf which is further compound. And the inflorescence, umbel. Rarely it is a head. We are not going to discuss it now. Head. It is involucrate compound umbel. So it is umbel is compound. So we have the main floral axis branching first, and then the branches bear flower. So this is compound umbel as we discussed it in the previous slide. And it bears a bunch of bracts at the base. Here we have bracts in involucre. So this is involucre, a bunch of bracts at the base of the inflorescence. So it is an involucrate compound umbel, but it can also be a head, simple umbel, or it can be a reduced one. Actinomorphic flowers, two carpellate, which have two locules. The locule in the ovary, the chambers of the ovary. So if it is one, or it may be two, so two chambers, one and two. So two loculate. Ovary is inferior because the flower is epigynous, so the ovary becomes inferior. And we have one apical axile pendulous ovule. So pendulous, which hangs from above. So we have ovule hanging from above in the ovary. For example, this is ovary. So this ovule is hanging from above. And a schizocarpic mericarp. So this was the description of distinguishing characters from Simpson. We have very quickly gone through it, and as we shall describe various families, these characters will start making more and more sense to you. So this video was related to the distinguishing characters of family Apiaceae, or the carrot family. In the next video, inshallah, we are going to discuss its general characters of family Apiaceae. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.